Hey there, and welcome to our Subaru WRX video review. I've owned this car for a couple months now. It's now January. I bought it in late August, and I recently put up a video of me kind of tooling around in the snow with it. And I got 3 separate requests from people sending me private messages saying they wanted me to do a video review of it. So, give the people what they want. Here I am. And let's talk a little bit about the car after I've owned it for a couple months. So, I don't know, we'll take a walk around, look at things. You'll notice, first thing, I mean, this is it is a wagon, it's a station wagon, and there's a lot of haters out there, a lot of naysayers that aren't into the wagons. They make fun of them, that the sedan's a better car and this and that. I specifically sought out a wagon. I mean, the wagon, this is not the nicest looking vehicle in the world. I mean, all WRXs are kind of funny looking. The style tends to grow on you after a while. I think it's kind of ridiculous looking, but I don't know, it is growing on me. The wagon doesn't perform any different from the sedan. It holds a little bit more weight, about 75 pounds more weight over the rear end of the car, but that also contributes to a closer to 50-50 weight bias. It is cheaper to insure, and it is way more utilitarian. We got the lift back here. We have a lot of room, a lot of trunk space. Got the courtesy cover for the cargo thing. Seats fold down in the wagon, seats do not fold down in the sedan. So with the sedan you're kind of limited to the trunk space, and that's it. Really the only downfall for the wagon is because we don't have a fixed deck back here. If you put an exhaust on this car, there are some exhausts that the drone will be louder in the wagon than in the sedan because you have sound reverberating in this area back here. Really the only drawback to the wagon, in my opinion. But I don't know, I totally dig it. It's got a lot of room back here. It's very utilitarian, very practical, and I mean, what's cooler than a station wagon with a turbo bolted onto it and all-wheel drive, huh? But I don't know. Let's hop in and sit down. So first, before we really get into anything, understand what this car is. This car it's not a sports car. I mean, it's not really meant to be a performance car by design. What it is it's a station wagon and or a family sedan, in the case of the sedans, with a turbocharger under the hood. And it's very easily modifiable, and that, in the enthusiast community at least, is why people buy these cars. I mean, all other aspects of the car, other than the fact that it's got a turbocharger on it, it's not a sports car, period. So it is what it is. When you buy this, do not expect it to be blown away by it when you roll it off the lot in stock form. It's just not going to happen. If you're an enthusiast, you're looking for a car that performs, you're not going to be terribly impressed until you start modifying it. So, and you'll notice I've done a couple mods. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know, looking around in the interior, it's a little low rent in here. Just quality of the plastics, overall fit and finish, quality of the carpets and the fabric that makes up the seats and stuff like that. Pretty low rent. It's a rattle box in here. Fit and finish kind of sucks compared to other cars I've owned. I come from Hondas and Acuras. I got a BMW M3, and this is definitely a couple steps down from anything else that I've been behind the wheel of for a long period of time. It's utilitarian, it's practical, you don't expect it to be a BMW or a Lexus or a Mercedes inside. It's a Subaru, it's kind of cheap, it's a little low rent, but you accept it for what it is. Not the best ergonomic design. There's some stuff I can pick about. I mean, you know, it's not a Honda. You have this beverage holder over here very good that they put it right up here where you can reach it easily, but guess what? It's right over the radio, right over the climate control, which are the 2 most expensive electronic components in the interior. And what happens when I stop short over here? My beverage goes right into the climate control duct over there, and it spills all over the radio and the climate control unit down there. So, you know, thank you for that, Subaru. Nice job with that one. But I don't know. Like I said, it's a little Spartan in here. We got power mirrors, power windows, and that's about it, really. Another complaint I have while we're in here, we'll be looking at it, the gearbox, the transmission, the gearbox in this car is just, I'm going to say it's the worst of any car I've ever driven. I hate it. It just has an awful feel to it. I mean, the throws aren't terribly long, they're not terribly bad, just the feel, the overall feel of the transmission, it's just horrific. I don't like it at all. I got a neighbor of mine that has a Kia Rio. The gearbox in that car, if I had to pick between this one and that one, I think the Kia actually has a little bit of a better feel to it. Not by much, but a little bit better. And when you're driving around, again, this car it's a family sedan. It's not a sports car. The motor mounts they're about as robust as soggy crackers. The engine flaps around in the engine bay like a fish out of water when you're shifting, and doesn't feel very tight. It doesn't have a very like reassuring feel when you're driving around, when you're engaging gears. It is what it is. Again, these are things that can be operated. They're things that you can do in modifying the car that will rectify those, but in stock form, the car was never really intended to be a sports car. It's kind of caught in between a family sedan and what could be a sports car. You buy it to modify it. So, sorry, I'm getting a couple text messages in here. Anyways, moving on. This is going to be a little bit tough for you to see down there, but another thing I'm going to complain about, the pedal setup. We got the accelerator pedal. Now, good feel on it and everything. Throttle tip in is fine. What I'm going to complain about is the placement of the accelerator pedal. And you're not going to be able to see it from back here, but right where I'm hitting my foot up against right now, that's the cowl. I come from the Honda crowd where I learned to heel toe my foot in this orientation. There's not enough room here. I have pretty small feet and I can't squeeze my foot in there to get a good angle on it. From driving my BMW, I got used to heel toeing like this. The pedals, and again, I have small feet, but the pedals are just not close enough together to do that sort of thing. You wind up slipping off because, as you'll notice, they are metal. You wind up slipping off the side, especially if it's wet out. So, not the best pedal setup for heel toeing, but again, it's not meant to be a sports car, so it's kind of understandable. The brakes, moving on to the next pedal, they're awful. They could have definitely done a lot better with making the brakes a little bit more stoppable for the car. The pedal feel is fine. It's totally predictable. It works fine. It works well. It's just this overall stopping power of the brakes that pretty unimpressed with it. So, and again, another thing that you can modify. The STI's got way better brakes. People put the Brembo calipers from the STI in these cars. Put a couple, put the stainless steel lines in, and you're good to go. But in stock form, very unimpressed with the brakes. Clutch pedal. Clutch feel is actually pretty good. It's got a reasonably high amount of pedal effort, but I like the pedal effort. I like the engagement on it. Very positive engagement. I like the engagement window. I like the overall feel of the clutch. So that's the deal with the pedals. The steering is actually pretty good as well. It's not over boosted. It's not under boosted. It's pretty darn good. So I'm happy with the steering. I'm happy with the clutch. The other stuff, placement of the accelerator pedal could use a little bit of work. The brakes could use a little bit of work, even though the pedal feels fine. I don't know, moving around, the stereo is decent. Not the best thing that I've ever heard. It's 6-disc in-dash. Got a tape player in this one too. It does reasonably well. The climate control is actually a pretty positive aspect of the car. It's very strong. It blows real nice hot air in the winter, real nice cold air in the summer. The fan is plenty strong. I like it. I like the placement of the ducts, placement of the vents rather. They work pretty well. I'm happy with the climate control. Very happy with it. The seats. Although I think the fabric in the seats is a little bit low rent, the seats themselves, the bolstering, how comfortable they are, fantastic. They're very supportive. They're very comfortable. They're firm enough where you don't feel like you're sinking into a couch. Not so firm where they're painful to sit in over long trips. When I bought this car, I bought it a couple states away from me, and it was I hit traffic on the way back. It took me about 4 hours to get up there, and then when I drove back, it took me about 6.5 or 7 hours to drive back. So I really got a chance to try these seats out. And you know what? I was pretty impressed by them. They're by far my favorite part about the interior of the car. So I definitely dig the seats.